हाँ, so let's start off with today's session. तो आज का topic static routes करेगा because in the last session we talked about how to configure basic IPv6 in terms of manual addressing and stateless autoconfig. Okay, now today what we're going to talk about is configuring IPv6 static routes. Okay, now when it comes to that, first let's try to understand what are the routing protocols available under IPv6. Okay, we definitely have static and default routes, just like what we have in IPv4. But along with that, we have RIP NG or RIP next generation. Okay, so it's not called RIP version 1 or RIP version 2. In IPv6, it's called RIP next generation. OSPF is called OSPF version 3. Okay. For BGP, we have multi-protocol BGP4. And then we have EIGRP for IPv6. And just like IPv4, EIGRP is a Cisco proprietary protocol.
Okay, IPv6, you know?
So for IPv6, EIGRP is Cisco proprietary.
Okay.
Okay. Same way for IPv4 also, EIGRP is Cisco proprietary. But all the other protocols which you see out here, like RIP, OSPF, BGP, they are given different names altogether. Operations are similar, but names are different. Okay. So let's talk about how to configure static routing. Okay. Now, when it comes to that, what we need to really do is we'll go into a topology diagram, और उसमें थोड़ा अपना IP addressing और उसको वापस review कर लेते हैं, and accordingly we'll do static routing or default routing. Okay. So for doing that, now in our case, I think what I've done is मैंने R2 और R1 में एक loopback बनाया हुआ है, बराबर? Okay. और R1 और R2 के बीच में ये network create किया हुआ है. Okay, that's what I want to do. Yeah, this is the kind of configuration that I have set up. So let's have a look at it, and then accordingly we'll work on that. Okay. So what I'll do is first I'll connect to router R1. And on router R1, I'll type show IPv6 interface brief. Okay, now when I do that, as you can see, loopback 0 has this particular IP address. Okay, but on the Ethernet interfaces, I do not have any particular IP. Okay, so I think that configuration or that part of the config is missing. But similarly, if I get on into router R2, for example, I'll again type show IPv6 interface brief. So there, as you can see, Ethernet 0/1 has 2021 EEFF::2, and then the loopback also has an IP address. Okay, so basically in that case, what I can typically do is I can go into router 1 on Ethernet 0/0. I can go ahead and configure autoconfig.
Okay.
Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. So for doing that, first of all, let me check whether this router R2 has IPv6 unicast routing. I think it should, but let's check it out. So as you can see, IPv6 unicast routing is already defined. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'll get on into router R1, and on router R1, okay, I'll go into VLAN 2 interface. That is, sorry, I think not VLAN 2, VLAN 1 interface. So let me get on into router R1 and show IP interface brief. Okay, so basically I'm going into the Ethernet 0/0 interface. Okay, that's where I'm going to define the IP addresses. So config T interface E0/0, and there I'm going to type in IPv6 address autoconfig. Now, like if I put up IPv6 address autoconfig default, it will go ahead and download the default route also. But right now I do not want that. I just want to configure the autoconfig. Now when I do that, and now if I type do show IPv6 interface brief, okay, as you can see, it's gone ahead and configured the IPv6 address. Got it? It automatically took the prefix info and accordingly it configured it. Also, if I type do show IPv6 route, okay, I have a static route that is configured out here, or static default route that is configured out here. Okay, so just to show that to you, like let me type do show run pipe section route. Okay, so do you see this config? IPv6 route, okay, :/0 2021 :EEFF :1. Okay, now that's what I've configured. But if you remember, the IP address that has been configured on router R2 is 2021 :EEFF :2. Okay, it's not :1, it's :2. That's what we have configured. Do you see this? Okay, so that means the default route that I've configured on router R1 is incorrect. So let me go ahead and clear that out. Okay. So I'll type no IPv6 route and I'll show you the configuration freshly. Okay. So no IPv6 route :/0. That will remove that particular default route. So first section that I'm going to show you is a static route, a normal static route. That's what I'm going to define. So what I'm going to do is on router R1, I'm going to point out a static route towards the loopback interface IP, that is 202.002:2222. That's the network that I want to point out to. So for that, the command line would be on router R1. First of all, I'll type in IPv6 unicast routing. That's the first command that I have to type. So that routing is enabled. And then what I'll do is IPv6 route 2002 :2222 :/64. That's the network that I want to access. Because if I put up an IP, it will be like a host route that I'm defining. Right? We do not want a host route. We want to route to the network. That's why we are defining 2002 :2222 and then :/64. Make sense? Okay. So this is what I did. 2002 :2222 : I did not include the 1 because if I include the 1, it will be the IP address. So that's why I just defined :/64 and then the gateway. Gateway is going to be 2021 :EEFF :2. That's the IP address of R2. Okay, I'll press enter. Now I've created this static route. Okay, and now because of that, if I type do show IPv6 route, as you'll notice, I have the static route out there. Okay. Now the next thing that I want to talk about, or next thing that I want to show you is, I'll get on into router R2, and on router R2, if I type show IPv6 route, okay, as you can see, there is no static route, default route, nothing, right? So on router R2, I'm going to configure the default route towards router R1. Okay, so एक side पे I'm configuring a static route, and on the other side I'm configuring a default route. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that's why what I'm going to do is, I'll first take a look at the IP address of router R1. So router R1 IP address happens to be this one. Because see, I have to know this IP address, right? And if you remember, on router R1, this was automatically configured or auto-configured. So that's why I'm just going ahead and copying this IP. Okay. So then I'll get on into router R2, config T, IPv6 route, :/0. That's the default route. Okay. So for the default, typically it is 0.0.0.0, right? So in IPv6, it's represented as : and then the mask is /0. That's what I define. And then the gateway address, I'll copy or paste the IP address of router R1. Got it now? Okay, so I'll just save the config, and similarly, I'll get on into router R1, I'll save the config, and now from R1, if I try to ping the loopback of R2, like if I try to ping 2002 :2222 :1, and if I press enter, there you go, it's working. Okay, so if I type show IPv6 route as you can see, because of the static route, I'm able to ping the corresponding IP address. Clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Similarly, on router R2, if I type show IPv6 route, okay, I have this default route, and now if I try to ping 2001:1111:1, and as you can see, even that is working. Okay, so basically, I ping the loopback of router R1, and it is working perfectly. Okay, so this is what is static and default routing in the case of IPv6. Clear on that part?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's go forward. Okay, so in this example also what they did was, on this router they are configuring a default route, and on this particular router they are configuring a static route. So it's the same config that I showed you practically, so I'm not going to spend time again on that, but I'll just go forward. Okay. And that completes the topic associated with IP version 6. Now remember, the IP version 6 concept and all of that is what we've covered, but the entire IPv6 for CCNA is not completed. We'll again be going over IPv6 when we start off with routing protocols and all that. Like, for example, when we start off with EIGRP, we'll be learning how to configure EIGRP on IPv6. Similarly, OSPF, how to configure OSPF on IPv6. We'll be covering those topics as well.
Okay.
You get that? Okay. So that was this topic. Now let's get on into the next section. So the next topic that we want to cover is troubleshooting network connectivity or basic connectivity. Okay, that's what we want to talk about next. So when it comes to troubleshooting basic connectivity, well, again, I mean, we had done a bit of troubleshooting in the previous topics also, but then here also, we'll again go over the various troubleshooting aspects that are available. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to look out for is troubleshooting IPv4 or IP version 4 network connectivity. So when it comes to IPv4 network connectivity, these are the steps that you will typically follow. Now again, let me repeat, this is not the standard step or this is not the only step. It will all come by experience. You know, the more you have exposure to the network, the more understanding you have about the network, the steps would vary. But then, you know, these are typically the things that you'll look out for when it comes to troubleshooting IPv4 connectivity. So first step is you'll look out for end-to-end connectivity. If that is okay, you'll go in for physical connectivity. If that is okay, you'll go in for checking if the current path is the correct path. Okay, just a minute.